wedding, listen, if you've never been to Mexico, it is an amazing place. But where we are going is Puerto Vallarta, and there it is literally the Vedanta Resorts, which is the largest resort in the entire country. I had the privilege of going with my wife and my daughters, and we had and some friends, and had an amazing, spectacular, supercalifragilisticexpialidocious time. And we said, listen, we've got to bring couples here. And so we're coming to have pleasure, but we're also coming to tap into the purpose of our partnership. And we're going to be doing some amazing things. So make sure you put that on your calendar in the month of June, but specific details will be coming next week, so we're really excited about that. So listen, let me just acknowledge all the Instagram family that's here. Also, Ayana, JG, Derek, Miss Jules, Ralph Gonzalez, Devon, Lene, Dee Jones, and the list goes on and on. Geisha, Christ for All Ministries. And for all those who are tuning in, we appreciate you. You don't leave a comment, you don't leave a post, but we see you, we know that you're there, so we appreciate that. All right, let's jump into today's topic. We're talking about the top complaints that these unhappy husbands have about their wives. Now, just as yesterday we stated that women didn't start off unhappy. It's not like they said I do, walking down the aisle unhappy. They were happy, they were in love, they were in high anticipation of what life would be like with their partner of choice, and assumed that things would be like they've always been if they were in a good relationship, or things would be better because now we have another level of commitment. Or the assumption was, I'm going to fix him, I'm going to change him. And you were hit with the reality that, it didn't work out the way that you anticipated. Well, men also come into relationships with expectations as well. And a lot of times, just as wives feel duped, husbands feel duped as well. And so we want to speak to those issues. We want to support their concerns. Now, if you notice, when we were dealing with the issues that wives have about husbands, we didn't give any pushback. We acknowledged it, we honored it, we said there's a lot of validity, and what I said was, men, we need to step up. And so we're gonna do the same thing. I told you, we're equal opportunists. You know, the pendulum was kind of in one area, now it's gonna swing in another area, and the spotlight is gonna be on you. Because we both, as men and women, husbands and wives, need to be more conscious, need to be more intentional, and need to become aware of what it is that we're doing that's problematic. Now, listen, no justification here, right? There may be, you may say, well, the reason why is, or I'll only do this because, or if it wasn't for this, then that wouldn't happen. And we can get into all that, but the fact is, there may be some validity to that. Yeah, but you still have to control your behavior. And truth be told, some of us come into relationships with a whole lot of baggage, faults, flaws, idiosyncrasies, character deficiencies, all types of things. So making yourself aware of this is just critically important. So let's go to the first one. One of the biggest complaints, mood swings that defy logical reason. Like, why are you upset? Why are you mad? Why are you sad? Why are you going through all of these emotional ups and downs? Like, I just don't get it. It's not making sense. And when you talk to me, you're talking out of your feelings. You're talking out of your emotions. And here's the reality. Now, this is a general principle, because anything that I generally say, there is merit behind it. It is never absolute. When we're dealing with relationships, we can never deal with absolutes, because any absolute that I give you, you can come up with something that is counter to, opposite to the absolute that I present. So we don't deal with absolutes. But generally speaking, men speak the language of logic, reasoning, analytical, mental, capacity. Women speak the language of feelings and emotions. Said another way, men communicate from the head generally, women communicate from the heart generally. So if I'm talking to you with my head, you're responding with my heart, meaning your heart. You're telling me how you feel. Like, you ask a woman what she thinks, she may tell you how she feels. You ask a man, how do you feel? He may tell you what he thinks. Different languages. And so oftentimes when you're communicating a message to your husband, you are speaking from a feeling, emotional perspective, and it may be hard for him to understand and perceive or be able to receive your message because of the way it is being done. So whether the emotions are projected out on him or whether he sees the emotions that you go through when a situation arises, it's just like, what in the darn world? Who am I dealing with? I don't even recognize you right now. You are alien to me right now. Like, what? Why are you tripping? And so it's important to allow this head, heart, feeling and thought balance to occur in a relationship to help move you forward. And so one of the biggest complaints is I just don't understand all of these mood swings. Like, of course, there's a cycle, and there are emotions that go along with a 28-day cycle. That's one thing, but she's just so emotional. And so what I would say is being consciously aware of that and knowing how you show up and how you interact and engage with your husband could be critically important as you begin to move forward. So that's the first one. Let's go to the next. She's perfect, and he is a work in progress. Like, I'm gonna tell you something. Oftentimes, one of men's biggest complaints, you know what? I'm going to pause on that. I'm going to pause on that because I want to go deep into this, because this is something that we hear so many men talk about. So listen, we'll take a quick break. You're watching the Couples Academy show. Stay tuned. If you're a man and you have a pulse, then you need to join this program. You're a husband. You're a father. You're a leader. You have the weight of the world on your shoulders. You have to be everything for everyone, but do you know who and how to be for you? You're still in search of your own significance. You're in internal battle with your own vices. You're questioning, do I even know what it means to be a man? I know I'm supposed to be there for others, but what about me? The fact is, you need a model. You need a code to live by, a system of principles to govern your life. You need an internal compass to guide your every decision. You need the 4 securities to build your own kingdom. What you need is the foundry. In short, a foundry is a facility where castings are produced by melting metal, pouring liquid metal into a mold, and then allowing it to solidify. Well, this is where we're testing the metal of men. Foundry is a 12-week men's-only coaching program. It is a brotherhood that will take each man through a purification process of the heart, mind, and soul. We here at Couples Academy promise you that if you give us 12 weeks of your life, you will no longer recognize it. If you care about the improving of your life, your marriage, and your family, register today. All right, guys, we're back. We're talking about the top complaints of unhappy husbands in a marriage. And we started off with this one. She's perfect and he's a work in progress. Like, there's this idea, and I don't know where it came from, but this sick, twisted, backwards, ridiculous notion that somehow women are the better half. I don't know where that philosophy came from. And so many men and women buy into that stupidity, and it doesn't serve anybody. It gives women a pass to do whatever they do justifiably because they're the better half. And it creates this feeling of, I'm just not good enough, that men carry in relationships, and it creates an imbalance. And I don't know why we embrace toxic beliefs that really don't serve us. And so the reality is, women, you are not perfect. Some of you think you are, but you are not. I hear this oftentimes in relationships, that the only reason why we're in this situation is because of he. And there's always this finger pointing and demonization of men, and they can't do right. And if they don't, and it's just like, that's just, it's my job to train him and fix him and make him who he's supposed to be. In essence, what you're saying is God made a mistake, and you're here to clean up God's mess because you know what somebody else needs. But when you look at yourself, you don't see any faults. You don't see any flaws. You don't see anything that's wrong with you. You are completely oblivious to your mess. Or when people point it out, you minimize, you trivialize, you justify, you explain it away, or whatever the case may be. So there's got to be a self-assessment that you go through. Because if you hold on to this notion that you are perfect, and maybe that's not the word that resonates with you, but you got your stuff together, he need to work on him. Like, it's just so insane. Because in the male-female dynamic, this belief that she's got it and he doesn't, really will change the trajectory of your relationship. But yet and still, though a lot of these wives in these relationships don't honor anything that the husband's saying in terms of what's wrong with them, when women get alone by themselves and have real conversations with themselves, that's when they become honest. That's when they become transparent. That's when they become vulnerable. That's when they may allow their sister girls to call them out on things. Yeah, you right, girl. You right. You right. But when the husband says it, he's wrong, right? He's always wrong. No matter what he says, no matter what he thinks, he's wrong. In society, in the workforce, amongst other people honor him for his wisdom, for his insight, for his know-how. But in your presence, he's wrong about everything. That's a problem. That's something that needs to be worked on. And so what happens is, the problems in our relationship, it's 100% his fault. Well, fine. It may not be 100%, but it's 95-5. So 95% of our problems are you, 5% are me. This is something that men collectively around the world complain about. So there's got to be validity to this point. And I think that it's important for us to understand that, you know what, let's just be honest with ourselves and have a conversation with our husbands. Now, I wonder if your husband would be honest and tell you the truth. I wonder, is your husband scared? Do you know how many husbands are literally scared of their wives? I mean, scared. Like, remember when you were growing up and you were in school and there was that bully and you were scared that if you said something wrong or did something wrong, you may get jumped or beat up? Now, we're not talking about scared in that sense, but they are scared to open up. They are scared to give an opinion. They are scared to have anything to say because of the reaction, because of what may come as a result of it. And dare he form his lips to say anything from his perspective that may be true about what you are or are not doing, it becomes a problem. So let's remove this idea that you're perfect, that you've got it all together, and let us, if we are aware that we don't, See, this is another thing. I know I'm not perfect. I know I have my stuff. Okay, so what are they? I don't know, but I know it's something. So you have a PhD in everything that's wrong with me, okay, meaning your husband, but you don't even have your GED in what's wrong with you? Like, pause. Think about it. Be open to what is being said. Is there any truth? Is there any validity? And I think if more wives were open to it, less husbands would be unhappy. Let's go to number 3. The third one, there's an instant demotion on her priority list when it comes to him. Now, this is something we could probably find on both sides, okay, truth be told. But in this particular conversation, we're talking about what wives do. And so a lot of times, when you're dating, when you're engaged, when you're in that courtship, you are each other's priorities. And then soon after you transition into marriage and you finally say, I do, the relationship or your partner is no longer top priority. In essence, they're moved all the way down to the bottom after all of the other important things. Work, of course, is important. Children, of course, are important. There may be extracurricular things that you do for yourself, self-care. Those things are important. And somewhere down the line at the bottom, family is important. Friends are important. And somewhere down the line, then your spouse, your husband becomes important. So he has been demoted. And oftentimes he feels that way. And so it's just like, well, what we had at the beginning of our relationship before we got married, it was just us. And now I feel some type of way because I can't get time, I can't get attention, I can't get affection because there has been a reprioritization, or you've just reprioritized what's important, and now other things are important. And this is why, as an example, when children come out, It impacts the relationship, because a mother who spent 8, 9, 10 months, holding on to that child, and now that child is born, there's this natural relationship and rapport that she has with the child. She's in love with the child. She's going to give the time, the attention, the affection, the resources are going to go into the child. And so while it once time, attention, affection, resources went into the partner, the spouse, now she shifts gears to parent-child. So we go from a strong horizontal relationship to now a vertical relationship with the child, which puts that horizontal relationship with that spouse on pause, on hold. It's not as much time, it's not as much intensity, because there's been a shift. And, many people have the belief, family first, marriage second. Well, family came as a result of the marriage. So there's got to be you got to prioritize your husband. You have to. And a lot of men, a lot of husbands don't feel prioritized. And that's why there's so many men who have a secret jealousy for their own children. Not that they have any negative feeling towards the child, but they have a negative feeling towards the time, energy, and effort invested in the child, and the lack thereof that the wife now invests in the husband. So these are some serious things. Would love to hear your weigh-in. For the first, man, this comment section is empty. I don't see no comments. I wonder what you're thinking and how you're feeling about what's being said. We're going to go to a quick commercial break. Stay right there. You're watching the Couples Academy Show.
To the wives struggling to move forward, I know that you're hurt, filled with doubt, fear, anger, and resentment. I know you're trying to be your best self throughout this recovery process, all while still having to be mom, daughter, sister, friend, and so much more. I know it feels impossible to be there for everyone else when at times your journey feels so isolated and alone. I know that more than once a day, you scream on the inside, I can't take this anymore. I know there are days when you feel like you want to give up and run away. I know you spend too much time sitting in your car parked in the driveway to get your head right so that you can keep moving. I know this feels like a lot of work with no guarantees. And I know you wonder, what happened to me? Who am I? And why am I here? More than you'd like to admit. I know all of this because I once felt the way you do too. It may not be evident by looking around, because we all wear our masks, but you're not the only one who feels like you'll never get back to you. That's why I've launched UnEarthed. UnEarthed is a 12-week group coaching program focused on discovering the woman within. Just as the earth hides all kinds of precious stones waiting to be found, buried within every woman are the seeds of wisdom, strength, purpose, and passion waiting to be brought to the light. UnEarthed will take you through a spiritual, emotional, and physical excavation process that will reveal to you who God designed you to be and guide you through a process to embrace and activate your true identity. When you complete this journey, you'll have a new focus aligned with your core values so that you can begin to feel your life again and discover that your gifts aren't buried, but planted and waiting to be unearthed. Register today.
All right, guys, you're watching the Couples Academy Show. We're talking about the top complaints that husbands have with their wives. I hope that this is helping and you're getting something out of it. Oh, now the comments are starting to come in. But listen, we're going to go to the next one because I think that this is critically important. And even though I said that most men, this is one of their major complaints, I think this next one begins to go into one of their biggest complaints. Okay, and it's really two parts to this. We're going to start with the first part, and that is this: having sex is doing him a favor. Now, man, men, generally speaking, have a drive that may be higher than a wife's. They prioritize sexual intimacy probably much higher than a wife. They have high levels of testosterone, and there's an urge and a desire to engage. And oftentimes women comply, okay? Sometimes they don't. And oftentimes, if they're complying, it's not necessarily because it's their need, it's his need. A lot of times when they're complying, it's not necessarily a delight, it's a duty. It's a chore, it's a responsibility. Now, either she may articulate that, and so it makes him feel some type of way, or she hides it, sucks it in, doesn't articulate that, but goes along with it because she has a love for her husband, and if this is what you need, then fine, right? So there are many wives who show up the right way in terms of going along with it, engaging their spouse, honoring their spouse's need, but inwardly may feel like it's just not their thing. And they're doing their husband a service. They're doing their husband a favor. Some definitely articulate that. Now, I'm not saying that you should or shouldn't articulate that. It should be discussed because this is what your workday is for, to have these kind of conversations, to be able to be clear. But a lot of times there is a disgust associated with it. Okay, just so you know, this is what you want, so I'm doing you a favor. Don't forget that, right? And so in that setting, in that tone, it may come off a certain type of way. Now, oftentimes when men don't have sex with their husbands, they question, do you even desire me? Or when women engage in duty sex with their husband, the question is, do you even desire me? Do you even want me? So her lack of desire for sex, he interprets it as a lack of desire for me. You see, that creates a challenge. This is why sex is one of these conversations that we have to continue to talk about, because it's one of the things that we rather do than talk about, because it exposes insecurities, vulnerabilities, incompatibilities, all types of things that now become a challenge. But for those of you who believe that you're just doing him a favor and he should be thankful and he's got to earn it and he's got, all of that type of stuff, that's an unhealthy attitude and disposition to come from. Now, it may be drenched in something that led to that, which is a deeper conversation. But just on the surface, men have a problem with women who have this belief that they're doing you a favor, so appreciate it. Honor what you got. It may not be what you want, but I gave you something. I sacrificed myself. I rolled over. I was there. I was present. So you need to be satisfied with that. But in the beginning, there was high passion. It was happening every day, 2-3 times a day. And then there was a shift. There was a significant decline, right? And so statistically, that's what happened. When women say I do, there's a significant decline in her interest to engage. Meanwhile, that desire still remains high for the husband. So there's an incompatibility here. And so it's worthy of a deeper dive conversation that we will probably do in a series, because it is, I'm telling you, it impacts husbands in an incredible way. So let's go to the next one. The next one, number 5, she treats him like a human ATM machine. A lot of men complain about this. That's one of their complaints, that with you, it's all about the money. Right? So either you're materialistic and you're not mindful of the fact that I'm the one paying the bills and I'm the one I know how much the rent or the mortgage costs, I know how much the cars cost, but you want what you want. All I am to you is a human ATM machine. All you want from me is my check. That's how they feel. Now, whether that's true or not is a different reality, but this is one of the complaints that a lot of men have, that the only way that I serve you, or the only value you find in me, is how I financially provide for you. But outside of that, where you at? Outside of that, what we doing? Outside of that, when do we connect? When do we get together? Like, everything else is important to you, but me. But my paycheck that comes every 2 weeks, that's your priority. Now, once again, this is how a lot of husbands feel. Now, there may be a different story for each one of you as a couple as to why people feel the way that they feel, but these are the things that you want to go to your husband and say, hey, watch this episode. It was talking about these general complaints. I want to know truthfully, how do you feel about this? Does this align with your perspective? Let's have a conversation. I don't think this does, but I'm just checking in. Oh, it doesn't? Boom, cool. All right. right, bet. Because a lot of men complain about that. Why do you think so many men complain about that? What perspective are they coming from? I would love to do a deeper dive so that we're kind of on the same page. So I know what not to do. I know how to be more conscious and aware of these particular things that could be triggering to you as a husband, because I want to make sure they were good. Yes, I value you for your paycheck, but I value you. Understand, one of men's major roles, functions, and priorities as a man, as a husband, as a father, is to be a provider. And every woman who has common sense, when they say I do, should be looking for someone who can serve in that capacity as a provider. It's important to them. It gives them a sense of security. It lets them know that things are going to be okay. It lets them know that I can raise these children in an environment and not have to worry, not have to stress, not have to think, okay, is there a future? You know, there's certain men who don't have goals, they don't have financial stability, so that becomes one of the main things that women talk about, complain about, struggle with, and so it may feel as if the only thing you care about is my money. I'm a human ATM. It may be from that perspective that you may be perceiving this, or maybe that's not your situation. All is well, and you don't want me. All you want is what I can do for you. Okay, you want the house, you want the clothes, you want the vacations, you want all these different things. You want to be pampered, you want the jewelry, but at the end of the day, you glossing and you flossing, but what about me? So, listen, this is the beginning of a conversation. We're going to continue it tomorrow. I hope that you got something in this short, impactful 30 minutes that was important for you to now engage in a conversation with your spouse. You are watching the Couples Academy show. Love you all. See you in the morning for another great episode, part 2 of this conversation, and tonight for Ask the Experts. Love you guys. See you soon.